Okay, moving into show and tell. Heinz, is there anything more you would like to say about these particular models?
If here I go.
Yes, please.
No, I did close the shutter so that people didn't see this moving all over the place and get seasick. Well, that didn't work.
So nothing much.
Okay.
I built the models because my wife told me, don't bring any more models in the living room because it looked like a museum. And therefore I decided to build this small model and this small model. It's a different way building ship models, because building such a small model, you have to have good plan. You have to have the ability to do something, but it is also mental. You have to have patience. And the most important thing is, don't get a cold when you do it, because if you build that and you sneeze, that is the end of the model. It will go, and you will find the pieces and will realize that you only have 95% of the pieces you need, and to redo that is complicated. It's a different way of building models, because sometimes you have to build something and reduce something in order to achieve, not just adding. And it is the same idea Michelangelo had in Italy, when he saw the block of marble and said, there is David in it. I just have to take everything off which doesn't belong to it, and then we have David. And that is the way you build these models. Take things off, not add things. And therefore have a look through the ribs, and here look the deck, because it's tongue and groove. Thank you.
What percentage of those are those all scratch built time?
All scratch built. You can't buy a model.
Right.
You can buy a model. And the nice thing is it takes a short time to build such a model. But you have to have about 50 years of experience. It is very fast.
What kind of wood?
Only the best wood, because you spend so much time and money and energy that you cannot afford.
The grain of the wood makes a lot of difference, I would assume.
Sorry?
The grain in the wood makes it a tremendous
Certainly,
difference.
you have to be very selective. It's ebony, it's best holly, boxwood, the best, because you cannot afford to build it with cheap wood. It looks terrible because you see every grain. It looks terrible because you also have to reduce the scale of the grain. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And another thing I found out, if you build such models, they have to come out and they have to be pleasing to the eye. And in order to achieve that, you cannot build a perfect model. If it's too perfect, it looks stale. I apologize to the ladies when I make an example. Women are beautiful, but sometimes you see stars, models. They are beautiful, but they are boring. There is no charm, there is no charisma, there is no sex is there, but
Said sass.
I understood sex. You didn't pronounce it properly. Anyway, you have to, and sometimes a little mistake, a little curve, everything makes a model pleasing. I'll give you an example. I went to Paris and went to the Marine Museum. There is a famous model builder. He has a book. His name is Fröhlich. Very famous book. And he builds beautiful models. And he has beautiful pictures. And I went there and I saw the model. It was perfect, but it didn't appeal to me. When I went to the Science Museum, there is a famous model of the prince. And when you see the prince close, it's full with imperfection. It's every little thing you think I could do that better, but the whole model is a beauty. It is worth probably $1.6 million. And it is not perfect, but it looks good. Thank you.
Really? I would like to talk to us a little bit about what models you have brought with us.
Oh, absolutely.
You can bring it up to the table if you like. Cool.
All right. I'm gonna move this over.
Okay, so the first one is the Titanic. As most of you know, the famous at the end iceberg.
Yeah.
And I think 1/700. It was very easy, and so it was very hard, especially with the string. See, and you can see. There we go. Now here is a model of German submarine number U-99. This took me like 2 days to build, and pretty good. Now I don't know what happened to the submarine. All I can think of is that it was destroyed by the U.S. Army from depth charges. Okay. And last but not least, my favorite one, Civil War ironclad USS Monitor, which this museum has the exhibit over there. Now, I apparently made this like 2 years ago. Did I make this 2 years ago? Yeah, kind of like 2 years ago. It's like the center is my universe. I've been wanting a model like this in forever. It took me like 3 days, I think. And yeah, thank you.
Is that a plastic model kit?
Yep, all of these are made of plastic.
Nice. What is your next project?
I think I'm gonna make a cardboard model of a flyer boat named the John J. Harvey.
Okay.
If any of you have heard of the John J. Harvey
What kind of boat?
flyer boat
Fireboat.
of the FDNY.
Very nice. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. We have one of our members who's building the Titanic. It's about 3 times that length, and you have done a really nice job on yours, because the smaller model is harder to build.
Well, I've actually built another model of the Titanic. It is actually 100th anniversary edition. And it's actually way more bigger than this one.
Yeah.
Very
Wow.
good. Very good.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing
You're
with us.
Great job.
All right, moving around the tables. John, you want to talk about what you got here? I heard that. This is fun.
Okay. The lighthouse tender, Beech again. I brought it last month with a lot of the fittings in place. But this, since in the intermeeting weeks, I managed to get a little paint on the hull. So I just wanted to show you that how much it changed the appearance of the model so far. Gene says that really bring in a little closer. If we can see, pick up the light. Well, trying to see if you can notice the plating. And so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, and it was painted in my usual rough style. Rattle can of red, rattle can of black, and a rattle can of gray. Keep it moving. Keep the paint can moving, keep the distance. And you won't end up with a lot of overspray and a lot of buildup and whatnot. And then for grins, little chart table. They'll go in the pilot house. That's it, just a little bit. It's coming along. Maybe next month there'll be even more paint on it. All right. Oh, short sweet.
All right. Who's next? How about you, John?
I need a piece of white paper or something. Lend me one. Yeah. I'm John. I'm a ship modeler. Hey. I was walking around my hobby space, which I haven't used in 2 months. We've been so busy. And I picked up a couple of things that I think you might find amusing or useful, as the case may be. My checkbook is not one of them. I'm working with a model that's in 1 to 350. It has a lot of gun tubs on it because it's a World War II aircraft carrier. And I came across some individual parts from Micromark. And what they are is it's a pair of pliers with special mandrels that allow you to curve photo-etch or brass or something similar. You can work your way around a gun tub very carefully. If you start with the flat brass, this will allow you to make the gun tubs for each individual gun. I have some examples here. There it is. You can see this is a little bit harder to see because it's dark. But you can see that right where my hand is, you can actually see through the photo etch because it's decking that has perforated holes in it to drain the water out. So
you have the ability to put gun tubs and the photo etch together, and it looks really good someday when it's done. My third thing to show quickly is this is, let me turn it like this. That's a 3D printed none such, because there is not another single ship in the entire US Navy that has one of these, except the ship I'm building, of course. So what it is it's a combination of, do it here. There's a gun tub that doesn't show. There we go. The gun tub for a quad 1.1 inch anti-aircraft gun. It sits on top of the clipping room where they belt up the ammo or put them in clips for the 1.1s. And the tower is where the director sits with his optical director to direct the gun. The only ship that has that is the Hornet, USS Hornet CV-8. So as many of you know and have seen my presentation, I've been struggling with 3D printing for some time now. When you get a chance to look at this, if you choose, you'll see that it really looks good. I'm impressed with my own work for a change. This is something I could not have duplicated with my skills in any other way than this. Whether it was worth the cost, I don't know, but this certainly is something that I think does exactly what I wanted to do. And sorry, Heinz, it's perfect. And that's the standard. And the last thing to show you is this fairly pedestrian device here. I was cruising through Roses and I came across a number of different storage devices. Now this looks like a standard plastic storage device with a handle on top, but it actually comes with 3 more of these stuck on the bottom, and you can clip them all together. And if you're trying to separate parts, as I do, put all the parts that are for 1/4 of the ship or another 1/4 of the ship or another 1/4 of the ship, these things are pretty cheap and they're very useful. So for whatever that's worth.
Where'd you find it?
Roses.
Oh, okay.
And they're not the only ones. This is a Sterlite plastic. They have lots of different shapes and all that. They're cheap. This might have been $4 for the whole thing. It might have been $5. I don't know. Heinz could afford a bunch of these if you want to put models in. So, anyway, that's it, unless anybody has any questions. And you're welcome to have a look at this 3D printed. It's not a masterpiece, but it's pretty good.
Could you give the name of that tool that you use for bending the brass?
It's in the MicroMark catalog. I don't know that they call it anything special here, but there's a lot of special purpose pliers. That's where I found it, in the MicroMark.
Or on the package?
Sure. It's upside down though.
I got the number, thanks.
89798.
Thanks.
And the print is too small for my glasses. But there are several. It's made in Pakistan. That narrows down your search.
Great.
And it can cause cancer in lab rats. That's the California marking.
That collection of tools is pretty obvious when you get
Let me
to
see that
page
one.
on the MicroMark catalog. If you look through it, you can't miss it a bit, and your prices are extremely high compared to what you, but your specialized tools like this, you just can't find anywhere else.
Whoa, kick saving a beauty. So this has 2 sets of mandrels in it, so that cuts the cost in half.
You see this one? I'll show the back
Yeah,
side.
and you can see down here, that's one of the sets of mandrels. The other ones are in place on the jaws of the plier.
Great.
I found it useful. If you stop by my working space here, you'll see some examples of what it looks like. And surprisingly, it makes a really nice round gun tub. It doesn't have wrinkles in it like I used to do with certain kinds of pliers. This thing is great. Pass.
Correct.
Thanks, John.
Uh-huh.
Who else has something to share? You have something, Dave?
You're right with you. Thank you.
I'll just continue. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go, go, go.
Dropping the tools. I have two boats that I'm working on, both that started as model shipways kits, but where replacing the wood with some boxwood. This is the 18th century longboat. Chuck was nice enough to laser cut the boxwood for me. I've learned that I would much rather cut my own pieces than clean char off boxwood. So it's ready for planking. The pieces on top were just supports. While I was fairing it, they'll come off. And then the other is the Grand Banks dory. I started with the base because I was trying to get my planer and bandsaw that hadn't done well with my house move to get tuned back in. Heinz, I think this was one of your boards. It's a nice looking piece of wood. And then the model again, ready for planking. Hopefully I'll just start doing some planking tomorrow. A little bit of a challenge to try to make this in boxwood, because the instructions don't actually have, it's not a complete set of plans that come with it. And it turns out you can scan in the laser cut wood and they turn into decent patterns for cutting another wood.
Dave, what scale is that?
That one's 1/48. And this one, probably 1/24.
Well, just leave them up on the table there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Leave some room for somebody else.
Really great on mine.
I'll probably need a place to put it. And it's going to have a mast on it, which will probably make it hard.
Yeah, probably.
All right, Charles.
It's real fast. Picked this up at Hobby Lobby, $10.
Oh, yeah. Those are great.
It's just a perforated block, and it has little skewers with alligator clips on the end. And so I'm sure if Michael Mark sold this, it'd probably be about $20-something. But for $10, and I usually am Scottish about my shopping, I tend to look for bargains, and so for $10, it's like, yeah, just put it in the basket and kept going. So lots of things you can use it for: painting small parts. You can help with rigging, lots of things, and you can always shorten them. And there's two different size holes. So depending on the type of skewer, if you make your own tool and put it in there, you can. In the past, then I brought a copy of it. I've used a 22 caliber long rifle box, again, just to hold things as I'm either painting them or letting them dry after I.
Where'd you get it?
Hobby Lobby. And this one, I got at the Greenbrier store. I don't know where all the Hobby Lobbies are.
Yeah, I use those, and they're great. Use it for everything.
Yeah. Heinz pointed out it's a pretty good grip on the clip. So if you're using something really fragile, you might want to be a little careful with it, depending. So
Is it flat or serrated?
it's serrated. So you do have, so
Alligator clip.
yeah, you can file a couple of them down.
I got some off of Amazon, the same thing off Amazon. And in the ends of it, instead of having the clip that's got like a rubber grommet over top the ends of it to protect it's still as strong a grip as the other, but it's got like, I guess you could probably use rubber tubing, just cut a small piece of rubber tubing over the end to protect it.
Yeah, you can do that. You could also
Marks on your
foam tape as well.
All right, thanks. All right, I thought I saw somebody else. Yeah, go ahead.
How long did it take you to make that?
Most expensive hard hat in the world. $225 hard hat. I think I could have bought a ballistic helmet for this out. But
All right, you got to step back some here.
I don't know, you've never shot for ski equipment.
so
Step back. And
So I decided to go to the Battleship New Jersey. I tried to convince John to go with me, and John said, I've built aircraft carriers. I've been in dry docks. I don't need to go. So I ended up going alone. I did 7 museum ships in 3 days. I'm just going to go really quick. I took 1,000 pictures. Right, Greg?
Oh, is this show and tell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Museum ship tour. Next. So how modelers take pictures when they tour ship models. That's how I ended up with 1,000 pictures. Say ammunition hoist on the Taney. Next. So in Baltimore, there are 4 ships. I did all 4 in 4 hours. I was a little bit disappointed by the condition of the ships and the staffing. There was basically just a ticket taker on each ship with the Taney Coast Guard cutter. See some rust next. Constellation, beautiful ship, Civil War era sailing ship. There was one person doing a tour, but all these were self-guided tours and you could go anywhere. You go all the way down to the hull in the Constellation. She needs some help though. Next picture. Again, ship modeler type pictures. Next. Lots of rot, particularly in knees and in the bottom of the hull. Bow, there was a lot of rot. Knees in the officers' quarters, there was a lot of rot. So, but beautiful presentation. I love the supports on the mast. Next, took a lot of pictures of that. Chesapeake Light ship, again, lots of rust. Only a ticket taker. They were doing some painting though. Next.
There. Are you fine?
Oh, I just see it online.
Next picture. Submarine tour, self-guided tour. I ended up being a tour guide for 2 families. And Grandma, I kept asking where the bullets were. I kept having to tell her they're not bullets, we have torpedoes. So finally started in the rear. About the time we got to the forward torpedo room, she got it. Next. So that was about 4 hours of walking. Great signage in that ship. Next. I was Thursday, Friday, I went to Philadelphia, to the Olympia. Next. Again, I called Gene, said, do you need any pictures? He said, I have a million pictures. So lots of close-ups. Next. If you get a chance to go to the Olympia, pay the extra $15 for the engine room tour. Triple expansion engine. It looks like if you added oil, there's some coal in the bunkers and purified water for the steam, you just start the engine. The brass work was amazing. In Philadelphia for the New Jersey in August, the ship model show. Try and get across the river to the Olympia and take that engine room tour. Next. Some more. I mean, the size of these rocker, of these parts in there is just amazing. Next. Miss Kuna. Payload class submarine. This is not self-guided, but the tour guide was outstanding. I think it might have taken almost 45 minutes to go to the length of the sub, and he explained everything in every compartment. Next. So that bottom right picture is, they don't let you in the conning tower, but I had a selfie stick. So that's why there's a Home Depot bucket in the picture. Because I stuck my selfie stick up and I'm taking pictures while circling around. The only place you couldn't go was in either sub was the conning tower. Next. There are so many pictures of the battleship New Jersey in dry dock that I just gave you pictures of me in various parts of the ship for scale. I actually was avoiding Facebook before I went there because there were so many pictures out there. But it was a good tour. The guide was extremely knowledgeable. I didn't learn anything because I followed the Battleships New Jersey's YouTube page, but it's extremely knowledgeable. It's really cool. The dent, you see a couple of dents in the bow. There's a dent on the bilge keels. I think happened when the ship was passing through the Panama Canal. She only had 1 foot on either side to flare. And so that was Saturday. Next. I actually think this crane, I haven't made to write to Ryan Smansky, ask what year that crane is. I thought it was really neat that such an old crane working on such an old ship. And Kennedy was a quarter-mile away. And there's a fence keeping you from getting down the pier, but pretty neat seeing her before she goes to be destroyed.
Which one was that?
Kennedy. She's was sold for $1 to shipbreakers in Houston. So as soon as the ship that's there is done being broken up, I can't remember which one it is. It's almost gone now. I'll tow the Kennedy down to Houston and break her. Next. So on the way back, Sunday I had a bonus. Fort McHenry, and I went there because I wanted to see the Dolly and the Key Bridge, which unfortunately was a really foggy day. There's a park that's closer where the live streams on YouTube come from, but it's press only, it's closed to the public. So that was my 4 days that were exhausting. I did find a great bagel shop at Fort McHenry exit. So you know, Fort McHenry, the first shopping center off the highway, great bagels. Thank you.
How far is it down into New Jersey?
It was 150 steps down and 150 steps back, and you
Oh, well, I mean, they let you go all the way down.
all the way down the bottom. It
Okay.
was a little bit muddy.
No,
The thing that surprised me is
There were no inside.
no, you were just
Oh,
under
you
the-
weren't
I was
inside.
underneath it.
Oh, okay, I thought you were getting inside.
One thing I thought was really neat, not having worked at the shipyard, was how much water was leaking through the caisson of the dry dock.
Oh, yeah.
It was a constant flow of water. It looked like a nice sized stream. I got some pictures of that.
Did you worry about it breaking?
Hmm?
Did you worry about it breaking?
No. I could run pretty fast.
Not that
Yeah, wow. Whole thing went, yeah.
You can try.
Tread water.
Anybody else seen in-house?
Were there any dead fish?
No, but it was drift. I cleaned out the dead fish. There was driftwood.
I got a question. If, did they talk anything about the health of the hull of the Olympia? I understand that ship's in real trouble, but I don't know much about it.
Actually, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. They're fixing that with a floating caisson. I would say it is 8 to 12 foot wide, and it's got rubber bumpers on it, and they somehow suction it to the ship, and they're working on the wind and water line. They work that section, and then they move it over and work the next 8 to 12 foot. So there was nobody in it, so I didn't have anything to give me scale to it. But they're taking good care of it. And down in the engine room, I didn't hear any pumps running, falling out.
Oh, that sounds like good news. I never heard of that caisson kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how they decided to do it. So they're actually able to work pretty right around the hull.
So they seal it to 10 feet or 12 feet of the hull and empty the water out and go in there?
Yeah, and then they just stand in there and they chip and scrape and paint and they're done. They move it over a little bit and do the next section. They had washers and they had a little flat barges sitting next to it. It was pretty cool.
I'm very glad to hear that. I thought we were gonna wake up one day and read in a newspaper that the thing had sunk.
Yeah. United States, you might see that, but not Olympia. New Jersey, they're putting 3 coats of paint, 3 different colors on most of the underwater hull. The wind water line, they're putting 5 coats of paint. Give extra protection. Some 5 different colors. So if the paint starts wearing off, they'll see the underlying color and know that we had a problem. Probably where bumpers are.
Thank you.
Oh, you're good. All right, okay.
Okay.
Just exit a PowerPoint.
This is the mini Oseberg.
Give me
A minute. Come up. Okay. This is the mini Oseberg, and of course, there's a story. So when I was building the 1/25 scale Oseberg, not this big, a presentation last month, I was referencing a lot of the thumbnail pictures on the Model Expo site on the sale page for that, as I was building that one as a reference. But on that same page, they had this mini kit, and it's like $28 or something. I never paid for that. But it came up as a closeout for $9. And they must have just had one because I missed it. I went to buy it and it was out of stock. I went through that like twice or something and finally did get one for $9. And the reason I got that is people are just enamored for some reason with Viking ships. You know, people come over and look at my collection of models. Oh, that's nice, that's nice. Oh, I really like that. And my girlfriend loves Viking ships, and her niece is all excited about Viking ships. I had a big gathering at my house back in March, and one of Jane's nieces wanted to take a picture of us and a brother there. Oh, let's take it in front of the Viking ship. So I figured I'd get this, build it for my girlfriend, so she would have a mini Viking ship. And it says it's H+10. I got that covered. But it also says that it can be used in water and it floats, so you can actually put it in a bathtub with it. So, and I tried it out. After I finished building, I put some water in the sink, and I left the model in it has flat bottom, so it just kind of started floating around. It was really interesting because I've never seen one of my models in water moving around. And it's actually with the water that is splashed in the sink there, it just kind of sailing. It really looked good.
Is it plastic?
No, it's wood.
It's wood.
It's a wood model, and it's not that bad. I used the same color scheme that I used on the larger model that I built. So it is actually a mini model that I've already built. The thing is, the shields, this is all one piece, which is glue on there. But they didn't have the shield centers on it. It was just a hole. I got pictures on the box, and they got pictures in the directions, and I just got holes. So I got a piece of dowel about the right size, and cut little pieces off to make the shield centers on it. I found that it's really difficult cutting 1 millimeter off of the end of a dowel. I tried a number of different saws and ways of doing that before I came up with a very fine coping saw blade that I was able, in a miter box that I was able to get a 1 or 2 millimeter cut on. But anyway, it was a fun, fast build, and I'll give it away this week and be done with it.
Who made the kit?
This is Billings, the same people that made the 1/50 scale. This is 1/25 scale.
Nice job.
All right. Stuart.
I just brought in the last edition of the Micromark catalog so I could give it away to somebody who needed it. Looks to me like Galen might enjoy it. I'm going to get it to him if he wants it.
So much for his allowance.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
A year's worth.
See Owing in his future.
That's an adult toy book.
Anybody else in house? Oh, yes. Go ahead.
We don't need to hear that. Yes. Still has a home about
It does.
it. Tell us about the home.
So this is ongoing planking of the hull for the Winchelsea. This will be the basis of my tech talk next month. I will demonstrate the planking on the last sections of the starboard side. Hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have the port side completely done. And then it's going to be on to sanding it down to 320 and then start trundling it. This is where I'm at.
Beautiful.
Can
All
you
right.
tell us about the pipe connection you got in there? It's just, it's actually John's
Is there a
version.
ball in there?
There is, yes. It can be loosened up and maneuvered, but this is, I'm just using this as transportation. I borrowed it from John. I actually have an arm at home that I use that's stronger because this is quite a bit of weight, but this works well just to bring it into display on the flip side. But eventually, once the hull's done, it'll have a cradle that it'll sit in and go from there.
Talk about it if you want.
Yeah.
Basically what it is, there's a pipe flange, then a short nipple, and then a cap. All just gas fittings, basically. And I put the cap in my lathe and I bored a hole in it. And then the ball that's there came out of the
Old pan of ice, it looks like. The,
It's
I got-
clamp from a body.
yeah.
It's the ball, but you can go substitute trailer ball pitch if you want.
That's what I wanted to know. But
Yeah.
What did you do to the inside of the pipe?
I just-
Round it?
And then inside the pipe, there's a little length of wood. So when you tighten down on the cap, it pulls pressure on the ball, holds it in the position that you have. It allows you to start to little limited range of movement, but it won't go all the way over to 90 degrees. But it's basically so
How do you
can
tighten the
position
ball
it.
up? You say you got a block of wood in there?
I just put a length of wood in there.
So you tighten it up. Screw that down.
This one just happens to have the ball and the arm off the heel clamp that you can buy online because I lost the casting at the bottom, cracked on it, so I just replaced it with the fittings. If you want to take the cap off, you can see the piece of wood.
No,
I mean, he's interested.
it's solid, so I want to keep it that way to transfer it home.
Oh, you don't have enough
No.
oomph in your wrist there?
Not today.
Okay.
All right, I was talking to Chuck Pissarro, telling him that you were building this model. He wants to hear from you.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, send him some pictures.
All right, I'll do. Hey, I've emailed him a few times asking some questions, but I haven't
He
shared
wants to
any
see
pictures.
pictures, yes. He
He's
told
got my
me.
money. I bought the rest of the stuff before he retired.
Yeah,
so-
because he asked about you. And
Did he? Okay, I'll send some pictures.
You plan on covering the hole once you get it done?
No, I'm gonna leave it, so the error, my hope is if my carving skills improve greatly, this is gonna be HMS Pearl. And the era that I'm modeling her in is during the Revolutionary War. The Pearl had very great success against the colonials. during the Revolutionary War. She captured a lot of tonnage during that time frame, and also against the French and the Spanish in the Caribbean. And during that era, that's where she had her freezes and everything like that. So that's the era that I intend to model, which would have been just a painted hull. But for this, I'm just going to leave it clear with poly to show the maple. In the era that she was coppered, she would have been the black and white checkered motif of the era before the Napoleonic Wars. So I want to show the freezes. That's where I'm at.
Too pretty to cover it. Any other questions? All right, thanks, Sean. Anyone else in the house? All righty, about you, Mort, got something to show?
No, I don't. I'm still working on the Virginia sloop, but no, nothing to show.
All righty, how about you, John? John Proudley.
Yeah, have just one quick thing. Working on the Jeremiah O'Brien. This is the model that I bought at the auction a couple of months ago, and this was supposedly pre-war, and what I'm doing is converting it to the war configuration. So a lot of gun tubs to be put on, that sort of thing. I've gotten as far as shaping the hull and just starting to prime it now after the sanding and sealing, and got a lot of parts to buy yet. It turns out now I don't know who brought the model in. I remember I paid $35 for it, and the drawings and the instructions were from 1947 apparently, and based on the condition of the box, I believe it. So what I'm doing is using a combination of new drawings that I purchased from Blue Jacket and the old drawings, and then combining and changing the parts necessary to make it into a wartime configuration. So it's turned out to be quite a challenge. One of the things that's happened is the rail here needed to be carved out to 1/16 inch, and the solid hull itself was so dry that sometimes pieces would just fall out and have to be glued back in. So it's turned out to be a challenge, but it's going to be a good project. Looking forward to finishing it up.
All right, very good. Let's see, who's Kevin here? Kevin. Yes, how you doing?
Well, I can just update you on the Thorn.
Yes,
we finished the channels about a week ago, and now I'm back to working on the stern, and I've just installed the counter timbers, and this is going to be the lights or windows. So we've made some templates in there, and then we'll make some plastic windows and start to fit the moldings in. And then I made my first attempt at the taffrail, which goes here. So been busy and back to my videos, and hopefully you'll see something in the next few weeks.
Good, thank you very much. And what scale is this?
This 1/4 inch scale, 1/24.
Very good, very good. All righty, Bill, you have something to show us today?
I don't have anything to show you, but thank you very much for asking. I am finishing up a model of a 1902 torpedo boat destroyer. Back in the 1890s, torpedo boats were very popular, small boats that could attack big battleships at a very economical cost. And so the navies of the world soon developed torpedo boat destroyers, much bigger, designed to stop torpedo boats. And they were so effective that torpedo boats faded out very rapidly after the turn of the 20th century. And torpedo boat destroyers dropped the first two words, torpedo boats, and just became destroyers. And we still make destroyers today. So the destroyer ended up being the dominant vessel. And I'm just finishing up a model of one of the first 16 that the US built. They were the Bainbridge class, and the fourth one was the Dale. And I chose the Dale rather than a Bainbridge for two reasons. There are more archival plans, more photographs, and also when you put the raised letters of the name on the back of the ship, Dale is a lot shorter than Bainbridge. Thank you very much for asking, and sometime soon, if you like, I'll show you. I'll bring it up and show you some pictures.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Maybe next time.
Thank you.
All right. Lastly, I have brought in my Arizona project. You can highlight that. Here's just kind of an overview. You'll get a better view if you went up to the table and saw it. But I have slides that kind of shows the progress that I've made. As soon as Greg can highlight that.
Which one?
Show and tell? Yeah, show and tell. I start at the top and we'll just work our way through them. All right.
Which kit is that?
Which
kit is?
It's loosely based upon the Trumpeter Arizona kit. Essentially, all I used was the upper part of the hull, which was vastly modified to reconfigure the model to the 1916 configuration as it was originally built. Utilizing some 3D printed components for the turrets. The rest of it is pretty much scratch built using a photo etching, casting, resin casting, and so forth. Here you have a kind of a closer view of the brass superstructures, the resin cast cowls, as were the boat derricks. They were cast and also using photo etching, which I produced. The small guns, they were 3D printed. You can move on to the next. The highlight really is the vast constructions, which I started some years ago and kind of moved along with it. Here I'm including some of the interior components of it, the different levels, the ladders and stuff, all etched in brass. Next. Here's a look closer. The meshing and some of the details. This is all brass and soldered using 10, 20 thousandths brass rod and photo etched rings and components. Next. Here's the foundation for the searchlight platform, etched, filled out again with more railing. Next.
Ian, how did you get the hyperbolic shape?
What?
The hyperbolic shape?
Oh, well, it's an illusion, really. If you look at the drawings and plans, all of the structural components are straight, point A to B. It's an illusion looking at it that it gives that Coke bottle, but all the lines are absolutely straight. It's just an eye-fooling illusion, because the way the components are twisted around the center, that gives that illusion. And here some of the detailing of the search platforms. Next. Next. Here are some of the etchings for the platform at the top of the mast, which supports the rangefinder platform and some of the structure. Next, there's some of the structural components underneath. Next. And as it's placed at the top of the mast, along with some antennas and other structural components which are added with brass. And it's all soldered. Next.
In the real ship, is it anchored to the main deck?
No, it's anchored to the deck. It's secured to the main deck as it goes through. All right, next. And just look at small progressive pictures of progress. Next. After I've soldered it, it looks kind of matte, because what I do is I'll hit it with a sandblaster, clean off the excess solder, and just give it a nice texture for holding paint better.
Are you mixing some of the painted stuff with the new solder? I mean,
well, as I build it, I'll kind of paint and build as I go along, so that I'll be able to cover all the little crannies. It's just a matter of just cleaning off the paint and solder.
Well, you are painting it as you go along.
Yeah. To wait until it was completely soldered and assembled, I didn't want to paint it then, because then you wouldn't be able to get into some of the recesses that become inaccessible over time. All right, next. And here's that same component painted. Next. Just different views. Next. And you can get a better appreciation when looking at it live as to how tiny some of these components are. Next. And I think next. Okay, the next step was to simulate the splinter shields around the top component. These were, I guess they were, I don't know what they were filled with, but they were splinter shields to absorb shrapnel and stuff, probably canvas stuffed with some sort of materials or something, I'm not sure. But they were soft-sided, and they have a kind of a quilted look to them. Next. And there's the splinter shields around the lower searchlight platform. And I wanted to simulate those in brass. Next. So what I did was I etched these pieces, shaped them to fit the spaces where they'll go, and then they'll be glued on eventually.
I think they were just mattresses.
Just mattresses?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we obviously used to use hammocks on the side road, but mattresses were brought out, and I don't know whose mattress.
Yeah.
The Navy was in a transition period. I think they still had mostly hammocks, but we were transitioning to bunks.
They looked too large for regular. They were probably mattress-like components. Do you think that was a regular mattress?
My guess is they were, because they're tufted. My guess is they were commercially purchased.
That's quite possible.
I always everything I've read on the Yamato, those
Well, they had
were
like
actually using
sand
mattress.
Well, they had also sandbags.
Well, they had sandbags too, but they were
Yeah.
also using mattresses
Yeah.
for the same reason
Right,
as splinter
right.
shields.
Well, not knowing what color they were, based on black and white photos, I just assumed they were either a canvas or kind of a lighter colored material. So I just painted them in off-white. I'll go with that. And this is kind of how they'll be placed around this ring and secured around the platform and around the base of the searchlight platform. Next.
You got to stripe them like
Do what?
like ticking on bedding, make them striped.
Yeah.
With individual names.
Pencil.
Let me see. Wait, there's another picture.
That's it.
That's it. Oh, that's where I am today. On the table, I have some of the boat skids, which I had to make, in addition to a couple of the extra pieces of brass bedding. Because everything at this point differed from the kit because the earlier iteration of it. So the boat skids from the kit, basically everything from the kit is crashed except for the basic hull. So that's where we are today, and hopefully next month we'll have some more progress.
Could I ask a question to you? Do you do your own etching?
Yes, I do all my own etching at home, all my casting and mold making, everything I do in house. I have not gotten into 3D printing, even though John has really been pushing me to go to the darker side. But yeah, no, I do my own etching. I do all the artwork and so forth. These particular parts were etched in 10,000 brass. For finer detail, I'll use a 5,000 brass for some components, depending on the scale. Because at this scale, 10,000 brass is what 2 inches.
Wow, it's very impressive. Did you ever give a talk on how you etch that stuff to the club?
Yes, I have. In fact, there is also shameless plug on my website. I have a treatise on the photo etching process that I do at home. And if you're interested, my website is Berger-models.com. So,
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, another shameless plug then. I plug the website whenever I can. Yeah, so if you go to the muster book, most of us don't have our own websites, but a couple of us have like model shipworld profiles or personal websites. So those are also listed. So under Gene, you can see
Thank you.
a link there.
Like most of us is a historic photo.
We also
Yeah.
have, we also have something on our website,
Yeah.
but it's older.
Yeah, there's so I'll go back to that. Everyone's encouraged to submit shop notes, and we have a couple different shop notes on photo etching. You can search for the type, and under here there's a category for photo etching.
It's right there.
Oh, well, yeah, but now we got both of them. And this one's an older presentation from John about creating the artwork for photo etching, not the process itself. This is one about using solid edge 2D to create artwork. Gene uses Photoshop. This is a free 2D program. You can just download it and use it. And I don't know what I should do is add another shop note that simply points to whichever meeting Gene did his presentation on. I can find out when he did it. I can do that.
That's fabulous.
I don't have pen and paper with me, so I have to make a mental note to do that later.
all righty, with
Gene-
that. Yeah, go
Gene,
ahead.
what wood did you use to make the deck?
The deck. That's another story. The kit had a wooden deck, or there is an aftermarket wood deck that you can purchase for the Arizona kit. However, it is designed for the later version of the Arizona with all the superstructure cutouts and so forth. It would not work for the model that I wanted to build, which was as it was originally conceived in 1915. So what I did was I scanned the wood deck, brought it into Photoshop, and redrew it, eliminating and adding those areas that would conform to the earlier configuration. Once I had a file of the new deck based upon scans of the old deck, I then printed it out on heavy artist paper in my my printer at home. Fortunately, it fit the 14-inch limitations of the printer and was able to print it out. And then I just basically affixed that to the deck. So what you have there is a paper copy of the scanned wood deck, modified to fit the 1915 configuration.
Very nice, very impressive.
All right, thanks. Okay, anybody else have anything to say? Share? With that, then we will take a short break, reconfigure for the presentation, and stand by.
Gene,
Yeah.
can I get you and Heinz out in the hallway?